My name is Jasmine Flowers, and I am here representing I Hear That Girl. So I just want to get right into it. So in your work, a variety of Black experiences are examined and represented. It spans the Black space from broken yet thriving. On the website bandofvoices.com, your work is described as a gesture, one that allows the viewer to witness a subject in the manner that it might enable one to see deeply into oneself. So I want to know, why is it important that when you are capturing, or what is important to you actually, when you are capturing these stories of Black people?
Well, the thing that I always say is that, I'm interested in seeing the full human experience afforded to Black people, right? We have complete lives, when there's a problem in society, we're affected by it. When there's a celebration in society, we might have our own way of celebrating it, but we have that celebration as well. It's just the idea that there's a version of Black people that Black people understand in one way. And then typically when we're put into narratives, fictional narratives or what have you, the way that we're portrayed tends to be formed around the way white people in particular want to see us.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how I think you would behave under this set of circumstances. So, let's inform it that way. And it's like, no, you actually have it entirely wrong. That's not how we behave at all. When, it's literally, it's any Black horror movie. You move into the spooky house, 5 minutes in, the ghost says boo, and then we move back out. Like, right, the Black people don't stay in the house because they go, it's scary here, and we're gonna leave.
Wow.
And so, just the idea of having Black people in a thriller. Originally, all the characters in this particular film were white, and so in turning the characters of Helen and Greg into a Black couple, it was just it was interesting and for me to be able to look at a Black marriage in trouble. What does a challenged couple do when they are met with a challenge greater than themselves?
Right.
It's like, oh, this is not about me being mad at you anymore. We both have to deal with this now. And I loved seeing how this particular couple, as a Black couple, could navigate that space and the trouble of having to try and find a way forward while trying to stay alive. So yeah, it's just for me, it's just about humanity. It's just about giving, Black people and Black characters a full experience from the wealth of experiences that are available, in life, and not just the ones that are typically allocated to Black people because white people think these are the sorts of things we believe you deal with.
Right. So whose decision was it to make the characters of Helen and Greg that are portrayed by Derek and Erika to make them Black? Who decided that?
Well, when I was Lisa Bruce and the team at Blumhouse reached out to me about coming on to the film, and when I looked at the material, it was my suggestion to them that we make those characters Black, because I also thought to have a racial component to a story, but not have it be implicitly about race. It's something that Black people deal with all the time, right? We don't always go into circumstances thinking about the fact that we're Black and how are we going to deal with that. When white people see Black people, a lot of time, they're like, oh shit, they're Black. What do we do?
Right.
I don't know what you would usually do, except they're Black. So it was kind of that. It was just an opportunity to have Black people dealing with something that are not typically portrayed as the sorts of problems that Black people have to deal with in a circumstance that is one where Black people aren't usually found. But in this case, we're not tokens, right?
Right.
It's not, hey, you're in the Wild West and there's 8 white cowboys and 2 Black guys and they don't say anything.
Right. Yeah, and I think that is in the trailer that this isn't like token. I mean, when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, we get to see Black people, like not even knowing the full story, but just watching the trailer. I said, we get to see Black people who are just trying to survive, and not in a another way of survival, but like this is the end of the world. We're all trying to survive. I just thought it was really cool to have two Black people and their family trying to survive in that way, and that it didn't feel like it was overly about race or anything like that. So,
Well, and there are a couple of moments where there are some tense exchanges around the ideas of race, but it's not. Again, it's not about the race.
right,
It's almost about each other's misconceptions about what they think the other parties believe.
right,
Right. So in some ways, the Black people are mistaken about who they think this white guy is, and the white guy in his own ways are mistaken in some ways about who he thinks these Black people are. But that's not their problem.
right,
Those are just misconceptions. Their problem is, how much food do we have? How much power do we have? How healthy are we? How much ammunition do we have? How long is this going to last? I'll worry about you being Black or white later. Right
right,
now,
right. That's secondary. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced in directing American Refugee?
well, first of all, we were during the pandemic, and so we had the health protocols that we had to adhere to. So besides having to take the time out of a day for testing and making sure that everybody's PPE was up to standard. So there's a creative energy that you have when you're on a set, and literally, not unlike the conversation we're having now, something as simple as a mask or a face shield, those the physical barriers sometimes do make it tricky to kind of communicate and get engaged in the way that you want to. There's a certain degree of physicality in the film, so now you don't even have to. You're not free to leave the set and and travel the world as you wish. You got to leave
Right,
the set and be incredibly careful, because any one person that might have contracted a virus at that time could shut down the whole production, right? So that's like a baseline sensitivity that you have to being engaged in the process. And then you're just not having as much time during the day to give to the scenes, so it requires a lot of homework, because we really had to come, not that you wouldn't usually come to the set prepared, but there's an extra level of preparation because you have less time and fewer resources available to execute your ideas.
right.
And I think we did a really, really good job. And I was really happy with everyone's performance. The crew was fantastic on the ground, but it does require an extra level of focus. And drink water and get your sleep, because you're going to need it.
Absolutely. So your career has been pretty vast, with you being a co-creator of Everybody Hates Chris, and that was a
Right.
comedy and like a thriller, a scary type of a movie. How is it that you are able to do so many genres of film and get it perfectly well? How is it that you're able to do that?
Well, think about it like this for a second. If you
Mhm.
took all of the jokes out of Everybody Hates Chris and really just focused on the crack and the killing, it would be a drama. I'm
It's
serious. I mean, literally, you're talking about Bed-Stuy in the 80s. Bed-Stuy in the 80s might actually be more dangerous than the world that we create in American Refugee. We just addressed it with jokes.
right,
So, I mean, for people, sometimes I think that they look at the storytelling space as these sort of segmented things. This is a comedy, this is a thriller, this is an action movie, this is a fantasy. But when you start talking about the nature of relationships and the circumstances, where those relationships occur, suddenly, those lines become less blurry to me,
mhm,
and the space becomes more fluid. I'm a real person in the real world. I have children, I've been married, I've got concerns, I've been afraid, I've dealt with racism, I've dealt with, cops, and dealt with a degree of
right,
violence. And so really the use of comedy to diffuse the tension that we feel around these subjects. Again, it's just a tact. And so when you're in the thriller space, you just lean into the tension. You lean into the discomfort, you lean into the fear, and you don't give any ready resolutions. You don't take the air out of it with a laugh, right? You make it more tense by pushing a little bit more air in it that makes it just a little more uncomfortable. So, artistically speaking, again, for me, they're not dramatically different things, but it does require a degree of awareness to be able to
Right.
separate out, the way to ratchet up tension in a moment versus diffuse it.
Right.
Uh, and that's the comedy versus the drama.
Okay. So as a storyteller and director, how do you draw your inspiration? What do you do for that? What inspires you?
Well, I mean, it's really the same thing. As an artist, I've only ever wanted to be seen as a complete person. You
Mm,
know, uh, okay, so when the pandemic hits, it might look like one way in your neighborhood, it looks like another way in mine. But the reality is that we still have family members who are in danger. We have people in failing health. We have resources that are drying up. We're stuck inside a house. And how I manage my time and how I manage my mental well-being under those circumstances may be different from you. But I'm having a full experience, and so when I look at television and film, I've always just wanted to see our experience reflected with all of the nuance and sensitivity and attention to detail that has been afforded you know anybody else.
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know and so yeah, I don't know if it's, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that there's inspiration there in a manner of speaking, but it really is more a defense of an idea, right? This isn't about taking something in. This is about putting something out into the
Right.
world, right? This is about putting an idea out about who we are and about how we live and about how we experience, the things that you're experiencing. And it looks different on this side, you know. A woman walking through a dark alley at night and a man walking through a dark alley at night. The alley is the same, the dark is the same, but these people are having two entirely different experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so that's kind of, the inspiration is the desire to have that be known.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Well, I have one last question here, and this is the most important. When are you going to cast me to be in one of your films? No, but seriously.
We'll start with something simple. We're gonna make you a 911 operator,
Oh, okay.
but you have the dedicated Karen line. So only white women, when they call, they get funneled to you, and then you tell them whether or not you're going to send the police
Okay.
based on.
I definitely do that. It'll be nice. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you on behalf of I Hear That Girl. Thank you again to you. And we are all looking forward to this film. So thank you for that. Can you just tell everybody where they can find it?
We'll be premiering on Epics Friday, December 10th. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll be available, sometime after that in some of the other streaming platforms. And you can stop by my place and watch it.
Okay, I'm gonna take you up on that. Great one. Thank you, Roy.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.